Hey guys, it's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who may like it as well. And if you have time, please leave us a comment in the comment section. I always look forward to reading your comments in the morning. I would like to say thank you to all of the new subscribers. I've gotten a lot of new messages lately, so welcome and thank you. All right, guys. So, it was interesting. I was talking to someone last night, and we were talking about spirituality. She's a Libra. So we were talking about spirituality, and she was saying to me that one of the things about spirituality that gets most people is that she's scared. She was saying she's scared to open up and, what if I see ghosts or, what if I see strange things? And we started to talk about how, number one, people watch too much TV. And most of us, from watching TV, from watching old scary movies, a lot of us are afraid of spiritual abilities because of this. We're afraid we're going to see a scary ghost that's going to push us down the stairs, or, we're going to play with a Ouija board and we're going to open up the pits of hell or something like that. And whereas a lot of these stories are based in truth, some of the things in these movies are true, it's greatly exaggerated. And that's why I do the new video series on my Patreon page called The Witch Trials. And if you want to sign up, remember, the link is underneath this video. But that's why I do it, because I want people to see what is fact and what is fiction. So when I do those reviews, I point out what could really happen and what's just bullshit. So she was saying to me that because of some of those movies, she's afraid of her ability. She's afraid of spirits. She's afraid of, getting into those kind of things. Like, what if something evil happens, And like I said, because of the ancient smear campaigns against pagans, and that, bled into movies, cinema, books, Hollywood, people don't know what's real and what's not. So because of that, she was saying that she's really afraid. So she asked me, have I ever had any unusual paranormal experiences? And the answer is hell yeah. I've had a lot of unusual paranormal experiences. And I was afraid in the beginning too. I mean, we're all socialized the same. I was scared too. I was afraid of spirits. That was my first thing. I was scared of spirits. And so I knew I had abilities, and I would just always ask Goddess, don't let me see anything crazy. Goddess, please don't let me see anything that'll scare me. And I never did. So that was very helpful. I just kept on asking. But I'm going to tell you guys today some of the experiences that I did have. Some of my experiences were scary at the time, but I'm not really scared anymore. I'm long past being afraid. I've been doing this too long. I started in 1999. I've been doing it too long to still be scared. So some of them were scary at the time. Some of them, as you'll hear in the stories, I kind of got past. Some of them I don't have any witnesses for, so I can't prove them, so they'll probably sound crazy to you. And some of them I do have witnesses to, and they still sounded crazy to the person that was watching. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my paranormal experiences. The first time I ever had a paranormal experience that was really strange, because remember, I had experiences as a young girl, but I would see spirits and things like that. But I was little. I didn't really know what I was looking at, And as I got older, the frequency slowed down. But when I was in my 20s and I went to Africa, I went to Ghana, West Africa, I had the opportunity to sit through rituals and see a lot of stuff. And the first thing I noticed after I came back from the slave castle was spirits in our room. So let me explain. We went to a place called El Mina Slave Castle. It's one of the many castles that enslaved Africans were held in after they were kidnapped. So they'd be held in these dungeons and then shipped off to the Caribbean or the New World or to Europe. Now, at the time, I had just got to Africa. I'd only been there for like maybe a week or so. And I didn't know as much about spirituality as I do now. Because if I knew, I probably would, I would not even probably, I would not have done this. So we're in the castle and we're walking around. And one of the things that I noticed was that the floor of the castle, especially in the outside courtyard, was broken. And there were little small rocks about that size. And I picked up like 6 or 7 of them and put them in my pocket because I was thinking that it was my way of having a piece of my ancestors' history, you know? I also brought back sand and dirt from Ghana too. And I still have that to this day, along with these rocks. So when I came back to the dormitory where we were staying at, I had these rocks. So I washed them and cleaned them all pretty and put them on my dresser. Now, we had been there for a week. Nothing strange had occurred. We were just in a regular old dorm room. It was kind of old and shoddy, but, you know, we're in the middle of Africa, so it was fine. Well, the next day, or shortly thereafter, I started to notice strange things. First of all, I noticed that I would come back from class or wherever we went, and the things on my dresser, not the rocks, but the things around them, my deodorant or my hair products, would be tipped over or on the floor or something like that. But I didn't think much of it because I'm thinking maybe somebody was running, you know, and the vibrations knocked it over. Didn't think much of it. Then the door to the bathroom kept sticking. So you couldn't get in the bathroom. And I got so angry one day, I just started banging on the door. I was so pissed. I had to go to the bathroom and the door wouldn't open. And I started banging on it like that. And all of a sudden the door went, and it just opened. And me and my roommate, because I remember I had a roommate, we both were standing there like, what just happened? And she was like, something is wrong. What's with them rocks? And she was much more in tune than me. And she immediately was like, what's with them rocks? Where did you get those? And I was like, I got them from the slave castle. She was like, girl, you brought spirits back from the slave castle. I mean, she said it immediately. And I was like, nah. So she was friends with some of the Africans that were there, some of the Ghanaians. And she asked several about the activity that was going on in our room. And they did not make a big deal of it at all. They were like, it's just the ancestors, no big deal. You know, and we were like, what? So progressively, it got more and more serious, and I just got used to it. It got to the point where we had to knock on the door to go to the bathroom. They would not let us open the door without knocking. So we had to knock on the door and then try the handle. That was the only way to get into the bathroom. So we just kind of figured it out and got used to it. Things would get knocked off all the time. We just kind of picked them up and moved on. And then they started to open and close the window. Now, we're not talking about a modern window that just easily opens. We're talking about a heavy glass and wood window that pushes up, that I couldn't even push up. I wasn't strong enough to push it up myself. And we would be in the room and the window would go up and down, and then stop. So since the Africans were acting like it wasn't a big deal, I just didn't take it as a big deal. You know, at first I was scared. I was terrified. And then we just got used to it because it happened time and time again and nothing else happened. Nobody got touched. Nobody got hit. Nobody got smacked. They just kept knocking stuff off the dresser, opening and closing the window, and the issue with the bathroom door. I told my the teacher that was with us, the professor. I told him. I told everybody. Everybody witnessed it. The professor witnessed it. The lady that was our house mother witnessed it. My roommate and I witnessed it. Our suite mates witnessed it. And everybody was just like, it is what it is. So after that happened, I was like, okay, it is what it is. And I just kind of was like, it, you know, as long as nobody's hurt, it is. So what did I do? I kept the rocks and I brought them back home. The same thing started happening at my house. So it wasn't with the bathroom. It was just things getting knocked off the dresser. And at that point, I would just respectfully pick things up and I would just say, thank you, ancestors, for being here. I was more at a place of like respect and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I was like that. And then one day, this had been going on in my home. I was back home and it was going on for months. And one day I was in a bad mood. I had had a bad day and they knocked everything off the dresser, not everything, but a few things off the dresser. And I walked in the room and looked on the floor and I saw the lotion on the floor. And I was like, look, this is my house. And if you're going to be, and I just stood there and gave this speech. Like, if y'all are going to be here, y'all are going to respect my space. And nothing got knocked over ever again. Everything just stopped. So that's when I learned, and when I talked to some more elders, and they said, you took control of your space. Spirits are in your space. You are on the physical plane. They are in the astral plane. This is your space. When you took control of your space, then the tricksters knew to stop fucking with you. And I was like, oh, that's all I had to do, you know? So that was a big one. That went on for a long time and then it stopped. And I'll give you one more. One time, and this was like, this is right before I left the school district. It might have been in 2012. Now, mind you, this was many years after that. I was pretty much used to spirits and used to these kind of things. And I had seen a lot of stuff by then, you know, in ritual and things like that. I was just used to it. So one day, I was in the back room, and the back room was my room for spiritual things. I did my readings back there, and all my altars were back there. Everything was in this room. So I was in the back room, and I was doing a ritual. I didn't have any clothes on. I always do rituals naked because I like to feel the energy, and it's something common that witches do and priestesses do. So I was in the back room. I was standing in front of the altar, and I was saying my prayers, and I was talking to the angels. And I had my hands outstretched like this. And I felt feathers, like a wing, go like this. And it touched all down my side, all the way down to my ankle. And I just stood there like this, like feeling it, you know. And then I smiled and I was like, thank you, angels. Because it was like, that was their symbol to me, like, we're here and we got you. And it moved me. Even now, I'm thinking about it, it moved me. And I was like, oh my God. But like those kind of things. And it just touched me very light, just like that. And I was like, thank you, angels. So those are, you know, two of the experiences I have, one by myself and one with others. And then another time, I'll tell you one more before I go. I was sitting in my bedroom. Now, mind you, that back room is down the hallway from my bedroom, my old bedroom. So I was sitting at the desk that was in my old bedroom, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw something moving in the room. And I didn't want to look dead at it because I was afraid it would disappear if I looked dead at it. So I kept staring exactly where I was looking at, and I kept seeing it moving. So slowly but surely, I turned my head just a bit, and I saw my grandmother. Big Al is my heart. I love my grandmother. My grandmother, the sun rises and falls on my grandmother. She died when I was 7, so my memories of her are very idealistic, you know, as an Aquarius. And I saw her. And she had on the same thing we buried her in. She had on her favorite wig. I think we might have buried her in the favorite wig now that I think about it. And she was sitting at the desk where I did the readings at. And I could see her. And I was still looking this way. I didn't look straight at her. I could just see her from my peripheral vision. And I was just watching her. And she sat at my desk where I do the readings. And she took her hand and she just touched the cloth. Because I had a cloth on the table. And she just touched the cloth, and then she touched my cards. I had several stacks of cards on each side. It was like 7 stacks. And she touched them, and she smiled, and she disappeared. And I was sitting there like, I mean, I knew she was with me. I always knew she was with me. I could feel her. I could feel her now. I always knew she was with me, but that's the only time I saw her, like with my physical eyes, not in a dream, not in a vision, but in my physical eyes saw her. And then she just disappeared. And then I turned around and looked all the way, and because the room was smoky, like it looked like it was a mist around her. And I turned and everything was gone. It was just the room. And I was like, hey, Big Al. And then I turned around and went back to what I was doing. So I've had a lot of paranormal experiences, and they were scary at first because you're not used to it and you think it's going to be harmful. You think they're going to try to kill you or something. But really, none of the experiences I've had have been harmful. I've had some tricksters, you know. I've seen my beloved grandmother. I've had some angels, you know, approach me. And yeah, there are spirits out there that aren't as friendly as the ones I'm talking about. But my point to you is that it doesn't have to be this great scary thing, you know? Every paranormal experience is very different. Okay? So those are some of mine. In another video, I'll tell you some more. So in the comment section, tell us if you had any paranormal experiences, or do you know anybody who has had any? I would love to hear yours. All right, guys, it's time for me to get going. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I'll give you an appointment. And if you would like to hit me up on social media, all my information will be underneath here. If you want to be a patron, that'll be underneath here. If you want to send me a gift, my Amazon wish list will be under here. If you want to send a donation, my PayPal will be under here. So please come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.